and to discuss Glendale Road. It's November 20th, 2017. It's 6:30. This meeting is being recorded and it will be televised. We start our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if everyone would please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is for the Department of Transportation relative to Glendale Road, but we have one action the Board of Selectmen needs to take. We have a personnel change form for a Thomas Futrell, Futrell. This action has been approved by the department head, the accountant, personnel board, and finance committee. My understanding is that this is basically a raise.
It's an increase from 20 hours to 22 hours.
From 20 hours to 22 hours?
Correct.
Okay, so it's just hourly rate.
Correct.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Done. I now move this meeting to Department of Transportation. It's yours.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Carrie LaValle, and I'm the project manager for the project we'll be talking about tonight, which is the Glendale Road Reconstruction Project. I work in the roadway project management section at the Massachusetts Department of Transportation's Highway Division headquarters in Boston. Your attendance at this meeting will be formally recorded. Once the meeting is over, the attendance sheet will become a part of the public record for this meeting. So if you'd like your attendance at this meeting to be a part of the official record, please sign in on the attendance sheet, which was next to the door as you walked in, on my left and your right. You can also pick up a handout which has details of the project next to the sign-in sheet. We have a great team with us here today who can answer any questions that you may have about the project. To my farthest left is our transcriptionist, Walter Mantini of Arlington Typing and Mailing from Arlington, Mass., who will be making a verbatim transcript of tonight's meeting. Next to him is Rich Massey from the District 2 office, the Project Development Engineer. Next to him is Karen Axtell from our Right-of-Way Bureau. To my left is Amanda Bazinet, and to my right is John Bouchard from VHB, the town's consultant. To have it included in the transcript, I'd like to make note that the notice was published in the Daily Hampshire Gazette and the Republican on both November 6th and November 13th. Also, the copy of this notice can be found in the handout. This notice will also become a part of the official transcript and be included in the final transcript tonight. This project will reconstruct Glendale Road from the intersection at Route 10 all the way to Pomeroy Meadow Road, enhancing the safety for all users by not only doing full depth reconstruction, but improving drainage and providing a sidewalk for pedestrians. At this time, we estimate the total project cost will be about $2.8 million. Of that cost, 80% of it will be federally funded, with the remaining 20% funded by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. This project must be programmed in the statewide transportation improvement program in the appropriate federal fiscal year in order for MassDOT to solicit bids for the eventual construction of this project. The total construction cost of this project does not include any right-of-way acquisition costs. The design for this project is expected to be completed this coming spring 2018, and it's expected to take approximately 12 months for the project to be constructed after the notice to proceed. In a few minutes, John Bouchard of VHB, the town's consultant, will tell you about this project. But first, I'd like to give Karen Axtell from our right-of-way department an opportunity to give you information about the right-of-way procedure.
Thank you. Good evening. When the Commonwealth, acting through its Massachusetts Department of Transportation Highway Division, indicated it would accept this project for funding, your municipality accepted certain responsibilities. One of those is acquiring all the necessary rights in public and private lands for the design, construction, and implementation of the project. My function is to review and recommend procedures that your municipality will utilize in acquiring these rights. The procedures used must comply with both federal and state regulations. The current design plans indicate that 6 permanent easements and approximately 25 temporary easements will be required. Your municipality may acquire the needed rights through a combination of donations, eminent domain, deed grants, permits, or rights of entry. Frequently municipalities will appeal for donations to minimize the acquisition cost to your community. Donations and rights of entry are not required, however, and property owners are entitled to an appraisal and just compensation. This project cannot be advertised until the proposed right-of-way is secured and a right-of-way certificate is issued. Affected property owners' rights are protected under our Massachusetts general laws, primarily Chapter 79, and because this project is receiving federal funds, the property owner's rights are further defined under Title III of the Real Property Acts of 1970 as amended. I'll be happy to answer any general questions concerning right-of-way activities during the open forum, and I'll be available this evening as long as anyone has any questions specific to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Now, John Bouchard will describe the town's project in detail for you. Please keep in mind that the project is in the design stage, so we may not be able to answer all your questions at this time. Once John is telling you about the design, I'll explain the meeting procedure, and then open up the meeting to your questions and comments, which we'll take into consideration when completing the project's design, but please hold your questions until after I've opened the meeting.
Thank you, Carrie. VHB's been working with the town of Southampton for a number of years on the reconstruction of Glendale Road. The first segment from Route 10 to Pomeroy Meadow Road, and then the section from Pomeroy Meadow Road to East Hampton at the bridge over the Manhattan River. Were originally one larger project. Due to funding and permitting requirements, the project was segmented at Pomeroy Meadow Road, and the second piece was built first, that section from Pomeroy Meadow to East Hampton. The proposed cross-section matches between the two different segments of Glendale Road with 10-foot lanes and 3.5-foot shoulders will be constructed from within the entire project limits. The difference between those two segments is that a proposed 5-foot hot mix asphalt sidewalk will be constructed and on this phase of Glendale Road, which was not constructed on the prior phase of Glendale Road. And that was really a direct result of the Board of Selectmen in place at that time. When the first phase was built, there were, I don't want to say complaints, but there were people that lived on the road and that used the road that felt, that a sidewalk for getting around town, walking to some of the neighborhoods was something that the town should consider, and it was something that they asked us to explore as part of the next phase of design for this segment of Glendale Road. As a result, there are a few more trees that are being taken down, and there's a little bit more drainage required as a result, but all in all, I think the town's goal of providing a safe access and egress and means for pedestrians through the corridor has been met. The project length is about 3,800 feet for this segment. It's going to be fully reconstructed. A segment of the water main will be replaced within the project limits, and a new drainage system will be installed to take the drainage that's currently running off the road, collecting it on the road, and then discharging it in a couple locations that are currently, some of that runoff is making it to, or is discharging off the edge of the road to a couple locations on the corridor. VHB worked with the town, and we have permitted through the Conservation Commission. We've received an order of conditions, which will be incorporated into the project for the contractor when the project does go to construction. What's under review right now is at the state level. The MEPA process is ongoing. Comments will be closing this week for MEPA to look at the big picture on this project. We don't anticipate any significant items coming out of that review at the state level, but it's, we've received a few comments that we've been looking at with our own internal environmental staff. Excuse me. As Ms. LaValle had stated, the project is currently programmed on the 2018 TIP for the Pioneer Valley region. The town has been active with Pioneer Valley Planning Commission and the MPO to keep the project on that program, and it's estimated at about $2.8 million overall. Project will be, essentially we're at the 100% stage right now, but want to incorporate any comments from those in attendance, as well as anything that comes from the MEPA process, and then the town will begin in the next couple weeks securing the necessary temporary and permanent easements for the project to be constructed, working with Karen Axtell from the department's right-of-way bureau. I don't see any major environmental impacts or impacts from abutters. When we did conduct the Conservation Commission hearing, we had a number of abutters that had come in because there hadn't been an update in a little bit of time. We met with them after the close of the conservation hearing, answered their questions, and things that we discussed were, trees that were being removed, driveways that may have been impacted, somewhere, trying to keep runoff from the roadway going onto private property, and we addressed those to the abutter's satisfaction, and the order of conditions was issued by the Conservation Commission. With that, I'll turn that back to Ms. LaValle to go through the next phase of this part of the hearing until we open up for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Before I open up the meeting to questions and comments, I'd like to explain to you our meeting procedure. First, the purpose of this meeting was to both inform you of the status of the project and, as John said, to solicit your input on the project so that if you had any additional comments at this time, it could be incorporated to the greatest extent possible in the final design. Next, we ask that anyone who wishes to have his or her comments entered into the official meeting transcript to please come up to the podium in front of me. Please identify yourself by name and affiliation, whether you're an abutter, a local official, or concerned citizen, and please spell your last name. That way we can have an accurate verbatim transcript of tonight's meeting. Also, as I mentioned before, the last sheet of the handout is a mail-in sheet. You can write comments on that sheet. You can either hand them to me tonight, or you can mail them into our office within the next 10 days. If we receive it within the next 10 days, it will also become a part of the official transcript. You don't have to write it on there. You can just use the address. So even if you were to just send a letter in the next 10 days, that also would become a part of the transcript. After that, we will still be answering your questions and comments that we receive. They just won't be on the official verbatim transcript. Finally, at this time, it's normal procedure to ask any elected officials to offer their comments first. So are there any federal, state, or local officials who'd like to speak at this time?
My name is James Labrie, L-A-B-R-I-E. I'm a member of the Select Board in town. Just for clarification, the $2.8 million is just for this section, not the whole project all the way to East Hampton? It's just
the construction of this portion
of this portion of the road. Just want to clarify that. And do you have any foresight yet? Is the road going to be closed to through traffic, or will that be?
I believe they
open?
have temporary traffic plans so that it would be alternating traffic.
Alternating traffic. So it won't be closed to through traffic. It'll be
Not anticipated to be closed.
No.
Unless when we're doing some deeper excavation, then we might need to close it for a portion. But we're expecting that abutters and public will be able to travel through during construction under, some police control or alternating traffic.
And then, of course, also in the evening, we'd make sure everyone could access their driveways.
perfect. Just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other local officials that would like to speak at this time? If there are no other local officials, this meeting is now open to the public, and we welcome any questions or comments that you may have.
Public. Tammy Walunas, 298 College Highway, WALUNAS. My question with the drainage part that you were talking about, there on that particular road, there's many houses that are way below the road level, and I'm just concerned drainage is going in to take care of them so they don't end up getting flooded when all the construction's going on.
During construction, there will be protection on like hay bales and silt fence, but the drainage structures won't be put in until the end of
Afterwards.
construction. During construction, they'll be put
Yeah.
in.
Okay. I'm just seeing other things, extra water getting dumped down into areas, and that would be my one concern there.
Yeah, no, and there will be a resident engineer on site at all times from Mass DOT that if there was an issue during construction that you'd be able to contact. If for some reason there was a big storm and you were having some flooding issues, that's definitely easily handled.
And your project length, you said was,
3,800
About
feet?
3,800 feet.
yeah, and then how many months to,
It was approximately 12 months.
12 months,
But
so a
that's
year.
from the notice to proceed. So it does depend a little on when the construction begins. If it begins midsummer, you might go a little longer because they have to time some of the seeding and some elements.
Yep.
Or if it gets cold earlier, there's pavement. You know, there is some range, but
Yep.
approximately.
well, we
12
saw that
months.
when they were working on College Highway, that it, there's certain things that have to get done before other things. So, great. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments at this time? If there are no other questions or comments, I'd like to again remind you that the last sheet of the handout is a mail-in comment sheet. You're welcome to have them in town hall so that anyone who was unable to attend this meeting could fill one out as well. And again, it has our address on there for sending in comments. You may leave this sheet again with me, and it will become a part of the transcript. And again, if I get it within 10 days, it will also become a part of the transcript. Before I close this meeting, I'd like to say that we will be here as long as you need us to answer any questions, and if you're interested in looking at the plans, and we'll try our best to respond to any of the questions you may have. Thank you very much for attending and for providing us with this auditorium. I declare this meeting closed at 7:49. Thank you.
Does the Board of Selectmen have any other,
6:50.
Oh, 6:49, I apologize. Oh, it's 6:49, can you do? 6:49, not 7:49, I apologize.
any other business in front of the Board of Selectmen? Motion to adjourn? All in favor? Done.
Thank you. Did you have any questions that you guys didn't want to put on the official transcript? No?